I'm Sloppy, and real quick, I'm going to do a very short match of Phasmophobia because I realize a lot of people don't actually know about this game or have never played it or don't know how to play and don't know where to get started. It is very early alpha, so there's a lot that is missing. It looks very rough and tumble, but it's a great game. It's definitely worth playing, especially if you got friends to play with. So let me know what you think. Let's just jump straight into it. This is how to play Phasmophobia. So when you log in, this is the screen you're going to be met with. You can click to open up the screen, or you can play around inside this room. There's a lot of Easter eggs and stuff you can do. You can open up lockers, you can look through doors, you can play basketball, you can turn the radio on, you can look at pictures of past games, stuff like that. You can try to play basketball. There's all sorts of mini games and stuff for you to play with while you're waiting for your group if you're in a public lobby. But let's jump into it. Now, you could always do the training, but I'm not going to do that for this. We're just going to jump into single player right away. This is the server lobby. This is the gear that you start with, and if you're just starting out, you're only going to have access to this gear anyways, so I'm not going to add anything else, which will just limit a little bit. We're going to jump straight into Tanglewood, which is the smallest map that you can play in this game, and we're going to go immediately to Professional. When you go on Amateur or Intermediate, it's the setup time and the grace periods that it gives you that actually makes it a little bit harder to find clues to figure out what type of ghost it is. So for that reason, we're just going to jump straight into Professional. I would highly recommend at least Intermediate to start, because Amateur is going to bore the hell out of you and it's going to make it very difficult to get the clues you need. Once you got everything you need, you can hit change if you want to change your avatar, but you can ready up and hit start. And if you're in a group, ready up everyone and then hit start. I would highly recommend playing with a group of people you know, just because even at level 300 I get kicked out of groups in public lobbies for being too low level anyways. So as you can see, there's a lot of gear missing. There's a lot of open spaces. There's a lot of extra stuff that you can buy later on. All that's going to do is limit us from doing one of these objectives, which is the motion sensors. Since we don't actually have motion sensors, we can't do that objective, but I'm not worried about secondary objectives since this is just a rough and dirty how-to. So I'm going to go ahead and immediately jump in and grab some of the easier ones to start with. So we definitely need the flashlight. Let's go with EMF, and we grab that camera there too. Don't forget the keys. Holy crap, don't forget the keys. And these screens here are going to show you the ghost activity level, which when it gets up to 9 or 10, it's a hunt. Your sanity, and then of course the map for the house, which shows you where the circuit breaker is so you can turn the power on to the house. You can also cycle through upper levels, lower levels, and see where other players are on the map if you're in a multiplayer lobby. You can see down in the bottom left that my microphone is active, so I'm going to go ahead and mute that. Since I'm not using the chatterbox right now, I'm just going to keep the volume off so I don't agitate the ghost accidentally while recording this. Right there at the door you saw I grabbed the keys to the car just in case for some reason the alarm starts going off, and I go directly into the garage and hit that circuit breaker right there. I'm going to flip over to the video camera and set it to night vision. This is how you're going to look for the ghost orbs. This is going to help you. Some of the items are better for initial scanning, like the camera and the EMF sensor, thermometer when you get to that point, because you don't have to place it. Stuff like the books and dots, you have to set them down and let them eventually trigger a response. So here I switch over to the EMF, and you see there's a ghost event, and I did not see where it was coming from, but I jumped clear out of my skin, and I didn't get EMF 5, so it doesn't quite count as a clue yet. You want to get it all the way to EMF 5. Anything lower is going to give you a hint, but it doesn't count as a clue as far as finding out what type of ghost it is. And you always want to re-verify. You notice that I walked away, it was only hitting in that one certain spot, so that doesn't count as a clue yet of to what room it is. It only counts that the ghost is responding to EMF. Now I need to figure out where specifically the ghost's favorite room is, since they do wander. So you could get an EMF hit in passing. What I'm doing here is just dropping everything in the house so I can go get some more equipment. And I tend to leave it all in the house. It's just a good tip. It's good practice. That way you don't have to run back and forth for your gear if you need to switch. So let's get the black light, look for some fingerprints. Let's grab a book and some dots. And we're going to probably just set that back in the house until we can figure out what room we're supposed to be in. Now I hear a lot of stuff going on in this room. So I'm immediately drawn into here to look for fingerprints, which is best and easiest looked for with the lights off, obviously. That way the black light can do its thing. One thing to note, when you're looking around for the room, you definitely want to look for hiding spots. You want to see what closets are open and where, so that if a hunt kicks off, you have an idea of where to run and hide to. Otherwise, you're going to end up scrambling like an idiot and probably get yourself killed. So I heard that radio go off again in the blue room. So I gotta figure out how to get my way back in there and hopefully get some clues. Now I'm getting an EMF 2, which is generally the reading you'll get in a room for the ghost. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a book in there and start getting set up. I feel like this is the room since the radio was going off and I heard a lot of stuff tumbling around in here. And if you look right there, you see that little speck? Kind of looks like a dust mote. It's going to follow the same pattern over and over, and it travels in different directions, not just down. So sometimes on maps where it's snowing, you'll get a little bit of snow glitching through. Snow doesn't go upwards. So take a look at it, see if it's following a different pattern, and if it's on a repeat pattern, and then that'll get you your first clue. Ghost orbs. And now that I know that this is the room that it is, I need to find an open closet or somewhere better to hide, because that was the only closet I found, and I tend to gravitate towards closets. I did notice in the nursery that there were boxes stacked up behind the crib. That's also a good hiding spot. But here in the garage we have open lockers. So if something happens, if it goes down, I'm running to the garage and jump in one of those lockers. Now that I found a safe place to hide, let's go back in the room and continue setting up. I'm going to put down some dots, and then I need to make sure it's not obstructed and put that camera in a better angle. Since I'm just playing with the starting equipment, I don't have any tripods, so let's go ahead and use that nightstand there and click the lights off so that it doesn't blind out the camera. Now I realized when I was walking in here, I'm trying to pick up the spirit box. I realized I had the black light still on me, so that was a mistake. I definitely generally mean to leave everything in my hands in the house. I might go back and forth with a flashlight, but generally speaking I drop it. More clues. What do we got? EMF 5, and it's been touching everything, so I'm going to want to scan everything with that black light to look for fingerprints. One of the things that you're going to want to take note of is when you are playing solo, you definitely want to step outside when you want to open the journal, just so you don't get attacked while you're in there. So you can see the two ghosts that it gave me were Raiju and Obake. So you're going to want to, if you don't know much about the different ghost types, go over to the page for ghost types and quickly read about Raiju and Obake. Now, Raiju affects electronics, which would make sense with the sounds that I was hearing earlier and the radios going off. And Obake rarely leaves a trace, which means the fingerprints are going to be hard to find. But when it does, it leaves a unique trace. So one of the clues that it's going to be in Obake, if you have fingerprints, is sometimes the fingerprints will have 6 fingers on one hand. So that's a big clue. If you ever see that, you know it's an obake. But I'm still leaning more towards Raiju because the radios that we're turning off and on, and it's touched everything and didn't leave a single fingerprint. And there it goes again, touching stuff. And no fingerprints again. So I'm really leaning towards Raiju on this one. So now what I'm going to do is just sit back, watch the camera, and I'm going to look for dots. Dots will confirm that it's a Raiju, and fingerprints would confirm it's an obake. I had to speed this part up because, yeah. Looking for dots can be boring, and honestly, I still feel like it's a Raiju, it's just some clues take forever to get. So yeah, that felt like a colossal waste of time, so I'm going to go back in and look for fingerprints. I still feel like it's Raiju. Still holding on to that. And now it's messing with the radio again, so further confirming that I think it's a Raiju. And when this happens, you just go over to it and click it, turn it off. But the fingerprints, which will show up on doors, light switches, and windows, I've got nothing, and it is touching everything. So I'm still leaning real heavy toward it being a Raiju because I still don't have fingerprints. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to look for dots a little bit longer, but this time I'll actually find them. I'm going to take a look at the whiteboard, look at the bonus objectives. I got the ghost event. I can't do the motion detector one because I don't have those. And with the camera and not having smudge sticks, since I'm just using the beginner equipment, I don't feel safe trying to get that one. Not very confident. I'm going to go ahead and circle Raiju because I'm still fairly sure, even though I haven't seen the dots, I'm fairly sure that this is it. So let's look for dots a little bit longer. I'm going to go ahead and speed this one up too. Alright, let's just go back in. We'll do one last sweep. We're going to look for fingerprints one last time. It has touched everything so much. I just realized that I didn't actually look at the light switch, and that's my bad. So anyways, it's looked and it's touched everything, and there are still no fingerprints. So I'm still, again, further confident and further reassured that it's a Raiju. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a bust as far as fingerprints go. I'm gonna go ahead and make a well-informed guesstimate that it's a Raiju. You kind of get used to going off of 2 if you play Nightmare at all, but once you select it, you just hit the keypad, close up the van, and it'll give you the results. Obviously more objectives would be more pay, but I just don't have the facilities to do those objectives right now, unfortunately. And there we go. See, it's a Raiju. So I got a little bit of money for that, so I can buy a little bit of gear, and maybe next time I can go in there with a little bit more confidence to be willing to take the pictures and do the bonus objectives. So that was it. Just a real quick rough and tumble how to play Phasmophobia with a full match gameplay. If this is something you're interested in, or if you want to see more, let me know down in the comments. I'm thinking about doing a whole series. So what I'm doing is recording each match that I play with my friends or by myself, and I'm trying to compile it so I can do individual videos, one for each separate ghost type, so we can get a little bit better understanding of individual ghosts and how they act. So it's a really good game. It's still obviously very early, but it's fun. So I definitely recommend giving it a shot. And if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. I don't know, maybe not, but like definitely you should.